All right, guys, let's just jump straight to it. The reason why I bought the FX30, and so should you, is due to the fact that it has a built-in fan. Now, I didn't know how much this would be useful until I started having problems with my Sony ZV-10. Now, this camera is a very amazing camera. It can shoot S-Log2, S-Log3. Now, it does have a little bit of problems with S-Log3, and that's where the Sony FX30 comes in. But the reason why I actually upgraded was because I was having temperature issues. Now, I shoot a lot outside, not just YouTube videos alone, but I actually work for a construction company and I shoot videos for them when they're pouring concrete, asphalt, when they're building, big storage units. I didn't know that I was gonna run into this problem until my camera overheated on a head talking video, and it was kind of embarrassing because you're out there shooting with someone out and your camera just overheats and dies, and it was just a bad experience. Luckily, the guy that I was shooting was a superintendent and he was really chill about us going back to his office and cooling the camera down. We were out there yapping, but once we got back, I was able to finish off the video. But it was very frustrating because I didn't realize that supposedly this camera was high temperature resistant. It was advertised to, and that ended up failing. So I'm like, man, I need something that it's not gonna overheat on me. But little did I know, a lot of cameras overheat, and I'm like damn, these cameras like $1,000 and up, and they're overheating. That kind of like didn't make any sense, because you're spending all this money on a camera that's gonna only be able to record for like 10 minutes before it starts giving you problems. And I started to search online because obviously my camera was having those issues, but it really did well on like 80-degree temperature. The Sony ZV-10, it's a starter camera. I can't give it a lot of heat. I actually love that camera because I learned S-Log2 and a little bit of S-Log3, but I kind of realized that the S-Log3 was more for higher up cameras like this one, the FX30, and that wasn't really the reason why I went for it. Like I said, it was because this camera had the built-in fan, and you guys don't know how much that's saved me, from having those thoughts that this camera is going to shut down. And before I even thought about buying this camera, because this is not a cheap camera, guys, this is with the other stuff that you need to buy for it, it could easily run you up to like $2,500. Luckily, I already had a Sony 60mm f1.4 lens that I was using on my Sony ZV-10 that I just attached to this. I had everything else, microphones, so I only was spending money on the body itself, and I found a really good deal on Facebook Marketplace. This thing was like $1,400, and I had to upgrade the SD card from a SanDisk because those are really bad, and they messed up my SD card slot on my Sony ZV-10. That was the main reason why. If it wasn't for that thing breaking, I kind of would have tolerated the temperature stuff, but because I'm not able to use a SD card slot anymore because it only just comes with one, then the camera is basically useless, and I'm not gonna wait here 3 months to get it back from Sony, even if they offer to give me a new one, which I think they do every time they take cameras to get repaired, and I wasn't gonna deal with that. So I had to start searching on the market, and it came all the way down to the Sony FX30 versus the Sony 6700. The 6700 was like $300-400 cheaper, and it had a little bit more capabilities in terms of hybrid shooting. It can shoot both photos and videos. Now this one can do it, but the photos, it feels weird taking pictures in this thing because it doesn't have like a mechanical shutter. It has like a, I don't know how you say, like a built-in one. I'm not like a spec guy, but I still take pictures for my clients, and they love the pictures. It still takes really good pictures out the camera. It's a 26 megapixel sensor. It's not meant for photos, guys. Like if you're looking to do photography, this is not the camera for you. But I think other than that, there's just so many more other benefits that this camera has. It has S-Log3 footage, which lets you color grade in a more like dynamic range. There's like way more colors because it's 10-bit, rather than it being an 8-bit like the Sony ZV-10 and its other line of cameras at that price range. Like I said, the Sony camera that I was using previously was really good. It was a workhorse until it stopped. And another thing that I realized too is that you kind of need to have 2 slots to make sure that if one gets corrupted, you can still use the other one. And that's another reason too why I lean towards the FX30 and not the Sony 6700, was because it had a double slot, and that's very important whenever you're trying to switch between cards. And if one was to fail, you have the other one and you can wait to take it to get repaired. And that was like a no-brainer for me, because now I can avoid, you know, that problem, as well as the temperature problem. And trust me guys, I've already used this camera for, let's say, 2 weeks. So far it hasn't failed me. I've recently shot a construction video because I work for a construction company, and I was shooting out there in like maybe 100-degree weather, and the camera was freaking hot, but it never gave me any sign of it overheating. I know if I would have bought the Sony 6700, that if I were to go out there and shoot a video, that this thing would overheat. Now, it's not a bad camera. I'm not here to talk down on that camera. That camera's amazing, especially it being hybrid. I'm not sure I said that right, but it, you know, allows you to switch between camera mode and video mode a lot better. You know, it's for best of both worlds. And if you shoot a lot of indoors, like my friend does, he's a real estate videographer. He's not really outside that much using the camera. He said that it doesn't really overheat if you don't use it for more than 10 minutes or 15. It's a really amazing camera, and that was the one I was gonna lean towards too. But it's just the fact that this has a built-in fan, and you don't have to go out there and buy a freaking third-party fan to attach to the back of your camera. It just makes it a lot more simple. And this camera, guys, is built sturdy. I mean, it's basically the baby brother of a Sony FX3, which I don't know why a lot of people like to compare these two cameras. You're like, oh, if you have this one, you should just got the FX3. In my case, I don't need a full frame. This is perfect. I don't know why people bash APS-C sensor, because it is cheaper. The lenses are cheaper, but in the way I see it, I think that's a good thing, because it's more affordable. There's a variety selection of lenses that you can attach to this thing, and it having pretty much the same body as the Sony FX3. It's very sturdy, very reliable, and it feels like something that's gonna last you for years. Like, even if you were to drop this thing, it feels like a freaking brick that they use on walls. That's how sturdy it is, and I like the build quality. It feels like a $2,000 camera. It's not like, it doesn't feel cheap like a lot of other competitors that, you know, the feel is cheap. I'm not saying those cameras are bad, but most cameras, guys, they're not gonna be able to shoot out here in very high heat, especially if you're working outdoors and filming videos like I do. This is really who the camera is for, and for the cinematographers, because this is a cinema line camera, and it's a very good starter camera for cinematographers. Now, I don't really know the difference between cinematographers and videographers. I think they're just the same thing, but you know, people like to name this stuff. But this camera is good for those people and people like me that shoot outside, especially if you work in the construction industry or shoot a lot outdoors. Maybe you work for a landscaping company, or you're wanting to get into blue collar, you know, businesses to their video marketing. This is the perfect camera. I wouldn't go anywhere else. There's just no doubt in my mind that I made the right choice with this camera. The battery life is pretty good. It's a lot bigger battery than, you know, smaller cameras, so it lasts you a lot longer. I only have one battery right now, but I'll be getting another battery pack soon. I just have to look a little bit more to see which one is better for me. But like I said, this camera is amazing for shooting outside. It's not gonna fail you, and it feels like it's gonna last you for a long time. It has a bunch of features that I'm not gonna get into that much, but it has Cine, what is it? It's some type of mode. I can't remember off the top of my head. Cine E or something like that I'm using right now to film this video, that basically lets you shoot in log, but it it makes sure that you stay between the 800 and I think the 2500 range, so you get the best dynamic range and quality out the camera, which I think is really good. I know a lot of people complain about that because it's not, you can't shoot in dark mode very high ISO because you might get some noise. But I mean, I don't know who the hell's shooting at night unless you're maybe shooting like a pour that they're doing at night for like a construction company or maybe a nightclub, but they already have lights out there. I think you'll be fine. There's not many complaints about this camera, is if you guys see online. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people that buy the Sony 6700 over the Sony FX30 tend to switch to the FX30 or end up regretting it. And I know that if I would have bought that camera just because it was a little bit cheaper, that I was gonna basically go through those consequences not going with the FX30 because I didn't want to spend that extra $400 or $500. And I just like this camera. I like the feeling of it. It feels a lot bigger than the one I was working with. It was just a little baby camera compared to this thing, and I think that you guys are gonna like this camera. I also thought about the investment. Now I know this was a big investment for me because I had to take money out of my savings, but I think it was worth it because in the end I'm gonna make that money back with the money that I'm making shooting content for, you know, this construction company. I've also used the money that I make from there to buy a drone, and I'll be getting more into that in a future video. Right now I have the, what is it, the DJI Mini 3. I should have gone with the Pro, but oh well. It's still a good starter drone. It shoots, you know, vertical mode, which is what I wanted it to do. I was using a Specta Mini. It was like the bootlegger version, I guess, of DJI, but basically the same quality. And I switched over to that one. And later on I also want to make a video how to mix in the DJI footage with the footage that is coming out your camera. I'll get into that later, but that's really the main reason why I chose the Sony FX30 and why you should too. It's just all around an amazing camera, and it's gonna last you a long time as long as you take care of it. It's very sturdy, very well built, and I think that you get a ton of what you pay for, right? As opposed to you know, cheaping out another camera and then later regretting it and having to sell it to get this one. So just get this one, guys, especially if you shoot out there in the field like I do. It's very beneficial if you're outdoors a lot. Let's say you go out camping and you want to do YouTube content about that, definitely pick this camera up. It also has really good points to build a rig if you like those. I don't really use them. I use a DJI RS3 Mini gimbal, and I'm really happy with the way that this camera performs. It has really good autofocus, which is really useful. A bunch of focus modes you can mess around with to get the best content for your videos. But anyways, guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed this informative video about this camera. Like I said, pick up the Sony FX30. You will not regret it. I haven't regretted to this day, and I know that I'm gonna keep this camera for many years to come, and that by the time, you know, all those years pass, the camera, I've already paid it off. Basically, you know, it's paid itself off. As long as you put in the work, the camera will do its thing too. But anyways, like I said, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.